Many cliches have often described and defined the coverage of Kashmir. But we are people who believe in breaking and busting those stereotypes. I'm Barkha Dutt, you're with the Mojo Story, and a very special guest on the program this evening is Kashmir's first Formula racer. You heard that right. First woman Formula racer, to be absolutely precise. Humaira Mushtaq has been grabbing headlines in recent times. She's been somebody who's made a name for herself in a male dominated universe. She is somebody whose story deserves to be told and heard much more widely than it has been. So let's go across to Humaira today to understand how she emerged as somebody who was able to carve out a position for herself in a universe that's dominated by men. Humaira, it's great to see you. And before we get into how you got into a formula car driving, I want to our audience to understand a little bit about you. Where did you grow up? How did you get interested in this? What were your key influences? So go ahead.
Hi, Barkha. Thank you for having me on the show. I always wanted to meet you, but I wasn't aware it will be on a live stream.
Well, it's
Thank you so much.
good to see you, and hope to see you in person very soon. Go ahead.
Absolutely, same here. Okay, so it's, I mean, you've spoken a lot about me. I don't think so I need to say anymore. So yeah, my name is Humaira Mushtaq, and I am the first professional racer from Jammu and Kashmir. I started with, actually, I started pretty early on in my life. I started karting at a very young age. I was 6, 7 when I got into karting, and I got into road tax, and I moved my way into single seaters. I've done formula racing, and
But
then I did
how?
touring.
Like, what? Where did it all begin? Where did it all begin for you? Like, did you grow up in Jammu and Kashmir? Did you grow up outside of India? Where did it all begin?
No, actually, the thing is that I took interest in this. If I look back to where I started and how I started, all I can think about was like racing, being obsessed with cars, being fascinated with racing, motorsports, formula racing, formula cars, Formula One. So I took interest very early on in my life in motorsports, and at a very young age, I started showing interest. My dad was the first one to discover that kind of instinct in me. So he saw me, I mean, he got me a toy. It all began. So he saw that I was actually oversized with the toy car. I mean, the way I was driving it around the house and all. So then, as I grew a little older, he got me into custom-made go-kart. So I started with that custom-made go-kart, and eventually I got into karting. And and from there I got into moved my way. I did some karting for some time, then I moved my way into single seater and to formula racing. In 2019, I started my professional career with JK Tire Motorsports. I was the first female from Jammu and Kashmir to be the first Formula car racer. And from there, after that, I was with MRF, and I did 2 touring car seasons with MRF. So it's something that I took on very early on in my life, and it slated into a more professional thing later on. Yeah.
And
It's something that you do really young, and it kind of grows with you. I mean, sorry?
I was saying, what has been the most difficult thing? Like when you said it all started with a toy car that your father brought home, and then it grew to become a professional passion. But when you first told your family or told people around you that you were planning to do this professionally, what was the response?
No, actually, my dad was very supportive of this. In fact, a big contribution, big chunk of me coming this far has to do with the contribution my dad made into me at a very young age. He was actually very supportive of me as a professional. I mean, making a career as a professional, and he was very supportive. He was my first mentor. He was my first coach, my guide, my best friend, and he was always very supportive of me. He told me that, what, Mara, you have this talent. You have this very unusual talent that not a lot of people in this world have. So all what I can tell you as a father is don't waste yourself. If you, it would be very foolish of you if you keep it to yourself. I mean, go reach it out to the world, create an example. And back in the day, this was not seen as a career for women at all. I mean, I couldn't even put my finger on someone like I want to be like her. It wasn't. It was all about men and male racing drivers. But he was like, you know what, you can do it. You have this talent. Go for it. Go create an example. And I lost him very early on in my life. I lost him when I was 15, and his last words to me was that, don't stop racing. Go for it. Make a career out of it, and Allah will help you. So go become a professional. Don't just keep it to yourself. And those last words, they just, they're still are with me. And this is like one of the reasons I keep coming back to it. I mean, this is one of the reasons that keeps me very inclined towards it. So I mean, yeah. I mean, besides the fact
And
I'm
and
really
and and
passionate
as,
about it.
and as you said, there were no role models. There was no one to reference. There was no one to emulate. There was no one to look at and say, "Here, I want to be like her." What is the sort of biggest challenge as a woman in this space, other than the absence of role models? Has it been tough to get backers, funders? Has it been tough to raise money? What has been the most difficult thing as a woman in this sport?
See, of course, I mean, it is challenging. See, the thing is, if you follow traditional careers or mainstream careers, they have a kind of approach. They have a visibility to it, so you can ease into it. If you're kind of creating your own way, you're creating your own path. Obviously, there will be challenges, but I did. I mean, I signed up for that. This was my decision. So, I mean, of course, as a female, it is because usually people judge based off your looks also. So, when I was really determined to become a racing driver, and I wanted to do it. Spacing out.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. I can hear you.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I was really determined to become a racing driver. I wanted to do it. So it is challenging, but the thing is, I look at it in a very different way. I am a feminist. I believe in equality. I know there were not much of role models, or back in the day, there were not much women in the sport. But I always believe that, what if I could bring that change? I could be the first one to do it. I could be the first woman to initiate this change. And, I look at it in a very different way. Since I'm a feminist, I'm a believer of equality. I believe men and women are equally capable of doing things. So, it's not just a sport, it's not just a representation of my skills, but it's also the representation of how I look at, of my personal belief, my beliefs being projecting equality. I feel like, I feel very entitled and I feel very empowered because since my beliefs are that equality between irrespective of gender, so I'm able to express myself in the form of my professional skills. So what I believe in, I'm able to because I'm able to perform with men in the same battleground, the same race, the same championship, and in the same uh, field. So it makes me feel very empowered and makes me feel very entitled. Whatever my beliefs are, I'm able to express in the form of my professional skills. So and it's very important that whatever you believe in, or whatever you like to do, it should make you feel good about doing it. So I look at it in that way
Yeah.
that I feel really empowered and very entitled that I'm able to do
Let, let,
something that I believe in.
let me just ask you a last question. What would be your message for every young woman out there who's battling with stereotypes?
I think my message to every woman out there, anyone who's who wants to make a career in an like whatever, whoever is listening to me, I want to tell you one thing: there's always a possibility of whatever you want to do in your life. I mean, never let anyone tell you that this wasn't made for you. This is not suitable for you. And let me tell you one thing. I mean, fighting the society, fighting the norms, fighting the challenge, this world and stereotype, that's a different story. But the main fight that has to be there, it has to be within yourself, with your own self. We all, as a human, we all have a dark side. We have a side that, that's a very vulnerable side. That's a very, like, what we say, insecure, a little like delicate side of ours, or where we have insecurity. That's a
Yeah.
very delicate side of ours. And in that side lives a demon. That demon that limits us. That's what we call as limiting
So I,
beliefs. The beliefs
I,
that
I,
limit
I
us.
yes, I think a lot of women have to first fight the demons in themselves. We congratulate you for having done that so successfully.
Thank you.
And for young girls growing up today, they will have a role model, and that will be you. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you
Take
so
care.
much.
God, take care.
Thank you. Bye.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.